Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to talk about contracting, how to contract a vacant land so you can make a deal and make some money. Alright, so I'm going to give you guys an example of a vacant land that I have on my list. I never contracted it, but I'll fill up if I was contracting that property, was trying to put it under contract, and we'll go from there. Alright, so let me show you right now. So this is the property we're going to do today. You see the address and everything like that. You see where it is, and that's why I use PropStream, right? It's great because it gives you all the information you need to put on the contract. That's incredibly important. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start filling out the contract. What I use this website called PDF Escape because I don't really have a PDF like editor on my computer. This thing does well. It's great. It's free online software. So I go ahead and upload my contract, Florida vacant land contract. For you to find the contract, you just Google your state vacant land contract 2021 or whatever the year whenever you're watching this, Minnesota vacant land contract 2021. You should be able to find some that are very similar, if not exactly the same. Okay, so you go into the contract, right? You got the contract right here. The seller. How you get the seller information? Obviously, you should already know who the seller is, and we're gonna go back. So this is the seller name. The problem with PropStream, and that's not PropStream's fault, the counties do it, it's not just PropStream. They put the last name first and then the first name. So you have to make sure you put the first name and last name correctly. So we're gonna put that here and then the last name afterwards. Then I will go ahead, well, I guess I should mention this. By the way, this is not like a legal advice, nothing like that. Take this with a grain of salt. You know, I'm kind of telling you how I do it, and you guys just need to make sure that you do it correctly. You know, check with your lawyer, attorney, etc. So then you I put an end sign. Then I put the second owner's name and the second owner's last name. So those are the two sellers. Then, for example, I put in my company name, the company name that's going to put the property under contract. So this could be your company name, this could be your personal, whatever it is, you know. So you just have to, depends if you already have a company, you just put your company name. If no, just put your personal name there. Then after that, legal description. You'll be adding legal description from here. Then just copy and paste it right here directly from PropStream, okay? Then after that, you got the county, which is also right here in PropStream. You put that in there. Parcel ID is this APN number that's right here. You plug that in there. Then the address, obviously, you have this at the top. You put that in there. You got city, state, obviously, and then the zip code. I just copy and paste everything without even typing. Okay, then after that, you got the purchase price. Let's say we agreed to purchase this property for $10,000. That's what you put there. Afterwards, you have deposit amount due to title agent by whatever time. Okay, so you put in, let's say you can put by certain date, let's say 9/20/21, and let's say that's $1,000. Okay, so that's that. Total financing, if any, you know, if you're buying cash properties, which you'll be doing with cash buyers, so you don't need to do anything there. Balance due at the closing, that's the initial minus the deposit, which is another $9,000. Okay, that's always. You might get questions about this. I do sometimes from sellers saying, "Hey, why is it $9,000? I thought you were buying it for 10." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm buying it for 10." But I'm putting $1,000 before we close, and then I just have to bring in an extra $9,000 when we close because they already have the $1,000. Then you just say that buyer will pay cash for the property with no financial contingency, which is most likely to be the case, or if you're gonna obtain private financing from the seller, which could be, you know, like seller financing deals could be an option as well. Closing date. Let's say we're closing 9/30/21. You put the date here on or before. That's very, very important. is that sometimes you could be able to close before the whatever date you have there if the title company and the buyer and the buyer and the seller are ready. So then when it comes to closing costs, procedures, stuff like that, you just have to select everything paid by the buyer unless you agree differently. So as a wholesaler, you use that obviously as your negotiating tactic, as your tactic to lower the price of the property by saying you'll pay all the closing costs, which is going to be the case. Obviously, you're going to pay all the closing costs. So I just check in as the buyer is the one who pays for all the closing costs. So you check all that. Sometimes I agree that they pay, you know, certain stuff, state transfer tax or whatever real estate tax is up to due. That's a big one right here. The real estate tax is up until date of closing. A lot of times I have my sellers pay that. So it could be, it's prorated taxes until that date of that year. Let's say, for example, the taxes are $1,200, right, this year. So for 12 months, they're only going to pay $900, and the rest of the taxes will be actually taken from the buyer when he's gonna pay what they're gonna pay for the property after they buy it. Yeah, selection of the title escrow agent. You always try to do that. Your buyers, or you or your investor will be selecting who the title agent is, just because you want to know who you're working with. I've worked with so many title companies that almost lost me deals. There are some that have lost me deals, and sometimes the sellers think they know what they're talking about when they say they have a good title company. A lot of times title companies don't know what they're talking about, so you really hoping you to work with a good one. When you find a good title company, make really good relationship with them. That's going to be so important. I mean, I can't specify this enough how important it is. There's some things that are important. You know, they want to make sure that everything is up to date, up to closing date. You know, there's title insurance, all that stuff. This stuff is kind of very, it's a residentially zoned land. That's also very important. Make sure that obviously you're a residential contract. Liens, you know, that it's pretty much is the seller's responsibility to make sure the liens are paid before the closing. If there are liens and the seller's not willing to pay, you can always work it out with the buyer, seller, you know, you guys try to make work, because at the end of the day, you all want to get to the same thing. You want to make sure you close on the property, right? So effective date and time, you know, obviously you got all that stuff is whatever. It's pretty much defines what effective date is. This contract is entire agreement between buyer and seller, whatever. You have to make sure that any changes to this contract are done you have to make sure that both parties are known, or they know that any modifications are done. Buyer may send the property without seller's written consent. This contract is binding on the here's administrative executor's personal representative and the signs of buyer and seller. So this is a very, very, very important part, okay? So if you're a wholesaler, you want to make sure this is in your contract. This is probably one of the most important things that you can put in your contract, is that because that's how you're gonna make money. You wanna make sure that you are able to assign the property without seller's written consent. Okay, so like, that's how you make money. I mean, you can still double close on the other properties, but you know, that gets a little more complicated. Let's say you're not making much from this deal, you will lose a lot of it to closing costs. So signability, super important. And in case your seller makes a big problem about this, you know, you can still figure it out. It depends on how much money you can make from the deal. Maybe double closing is worth it, but I try to always have assignability on my contract. Escrow agent, this is where you're gonna put information as who are you going to use, right? ABC title company, you put in 123 Main, you put in 123 Main Street as their, I don't know, Lakeland, Florida, as their address, and their phone number is 888-888-8888 or whatever. So this is their information. You have to have that on the contract so that your seller knows who's going to be handling the title company, okay? You can change this throughout the process. You just have to make sure the correct addendums. If you don't know what those are, you can talk to the title company you are going to be working with. I'm sure they can help you out. Or you can research it online. It's called addendums to switch title companies on your contracts. It's pretty simple. Restricted easement limitations, pretty much, you know, you make sure that's residential. you know, and seller has to convey marketable title to make sure that the property is accessible, so it has easements, you know, that it's actually zoned as residential, all other stuff. So this is incredibly important to have in your contract, because let's say the property comes back that it cannot be accessed, your buyer is guaranteed to get the money back because of this. If buyer fails to perform on this contract within the time specified, then the deposit made by the buyer may be recovered and retained by and for the account of the seller as liquidated damage for non-performance of the buyer. This incredibly is important for your seller because they want to make sure that if you just back out or your investor backs out for no reason, and the property is free and clear, the title has no issues, you can access the property, there's no issues there, and then your buyer just says, I don't want to buy it, and then you cannot find a different buyer, and you're not going to buy it yourself. So you want to have some kind of guarantee for the seller, and this is what it is. This is where that $1,000 deposit will go towards them. Then notices, all notice needs to be done, pretty much recorded, mail, person delivery, electronic media, which could be text or email. Anything, pretty much this is standard. Anything that's not delivered within a normal time, could be not accounted for. It's important. Additional terms, this is what I put here. Your contract may have this originally, but I always put this here. It's a 10 business day inspection contingency. It's pretty much 2 weeks. 10 business days does kind of sound a little less than 2 weeks. So I always put 10 business days, even though it's the same exact thing. So I do like to use this as my the way I worded, because that scares them a little less than 14 days. It just looks less. So yeah, within those 10 business days, you have time to find a buyer for the property. And in case it doesn't work out, you can give the property back. Your contract may be done a little better in the way that it could specify what inspection contingency is. If you have to give any reasoning to give the property back, whatever, and stuff like that. So, this is kind of how I do it, because a lot of land that I buy for are very the lower class land that the sellers don't really go into details too much. And if I tell them, hey, this property just didn't work out for me, whatever, I'm sorry, and I just send them an email or text, most of the time they don't really care and they just kind of move on. And then obviously you're gonna have buyer signature, whatever. This is where you're gonna be your signature. Whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. That's not my signature. Don't try to copy it. It's not how it looks. This is the date, and this is the whatever, my name. So we got my information there, whatever, all that stuff. Not a great signature, I know. So after that, I go ahead and click here, and I just press save, and I'm going to go ahead and save it on my desktop. I'm gonna use this as test, and then now we're gonna go ahead and go to Docusign, okay? We're gonna go ahead and log into my Docusign, and I'm gonna show you guys how to send this property, how to send this contract to the seller, so you can get that done. All right, so after you upload it into Docusign right there, you click next, and I'm gonna put myself, because I'm not gonna send it to anyone. I'm gonna use my own email, and I'll show you guys how it looks when they receive it. Okay, now you go here. I'm gonna close this. You go here, you see that contract, you just double check, make sure you filled everything out, that you didn't miss anything. Then some contract will have like an initial down here that you want to make sure that you put there, but a lot of times they won't. So you go down, all the way down, and the seller has to sign here, okay, and then the date they signed it and the name. That's the 3 things. The rest I have here. I can do it if I want to. I just don't. I just have seller, print name, date. Let's say you had, let's go back. Let's add an extra buyer. Let's say you had 2 buyers. How would you do it? I'm going to do that right there. So that's going to be my other email. So you go ahead, and this is the second buyer and a second seller. Sorry, that's what I meant. You put it right there, seller signature, this seller signature right there, date, sign, name, all that stuff. So your document will be complete only when both seller and both sellers sign the contract. Okay, sometimes they will give you the same email for both sellers, which is fine. You just have to make sure that you put the name, you know how back right here, so on the top it says my name and it says test. So this emails could be the same, but the names have to be matching based on to what's on the contract. Okay, so you have to make sure that's done correctly. So you press next. You can enter an email, message, whatever. I really most of the time don't. You could, you know, say, hey, if you have any questions, give me a call at this number, etc., whatever. But hopefully by this time they already talked to you. They should know your phone number at this time. And then go ahead and send. And let me show you guys. Your document is on the way. Yeah, it's my turn to sign because I'm the Good Times Real Estate. So let me see if I got it. There you go. So this is how it will look on their side. They will get this and it says, send your document to review and sign, review document. They click here. This Docusign will load on their side. Doesn't matter if they have the system or not. You continue. And then there you go. They look at the contract. They look at it. Okay, this looks good, whatever. And then they just click here. And if they already used Docusign before, they didn't have to adapt signatures. Sometimes they may want to change it, add a different one. I don't know. There's so much different stuff. So, you know, so you got that done, and they finish it. Okay. So after they finish it, you say no thanks, whatever. I'm gonna go to my other email and finish one right here as well. So this is gonna open up as well. Yes, I agree. Continue. Same thing. Same stuff. Test. Yep. Finish. Great. So you got that. Okay. No thanks. Then you go back to your email, and this is where you should get notification if you have Docusign on your phone as the app, or you just have email notifications. There you go. You'll get this document. You will get it, and everyone who was involved in signing the document will get a copy of this, which is really good because, you know, you don't have to send them a copy of the signed document because they will get it anyway. And then you got the signed document. You press here, you can see it. Blah blah blah. There you go. The first one, the one with you, and then the first seller, the second seller, etc. And you're done. And you can go ahead and download it and just go from there. After you download it, obviously you're gonna have to send it to a title company. If you already have an assignment contract, that's great. Assignment contract works similar, very similar way. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much how the vacant land contracts are filled and how I do it. Like I said, this is not a financial or legal advice, so just be careful. Use it with your grain of salt. If you want to consult with a lawyer, attorney, or a title company, or real estate agent, etc., more qualified people that can help you out to make sure you do everything correctly. Please subscribe to the channel if you did like the video. Like the video if you like the video. That's really, really appreciated. And comment down below if you had any questions. This actually video was made because of a comment that was left on my video saying, hey, can you do this? Can you explain how this is done? And there you go. So leave a comment if you have any question, and your video might be next. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, and